Let's see what it says, shall we?
Hey, ABC News. Let me show you what a body can do.
What is Grindfest?
Grindfest has been going on for about 10 years here in Tehachapi. And we attract people from all different genres.
Yeah, I have a master's in human anatomy.
Physics in general is just what I've been studying. It just happened to be astrophysics.
I've worked as an interface designer for meditation and wellness apps.
People who are good with hacking electronics.
I'm an electrical engineer going to college.
We do some really wild prototype cardiovascular stuff.
People who are interested in inserting subdermal microchips.
I had a peg leg. The one I had like a terabyte of data. You can stream movies off of it.
And LEDs.
This is the bleeding edge. People taking their own autonomy into their hands and moving biomedical science and engineering forward.
This is the place where you can show up and have some wacky idea and someone will go, no, actually, we can make that real and we're going to do it now.
All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving our praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the artists of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today, I'm just going to do a quick video on, the mark of the beast, because as you can clearly see, the individuals in the clip that I featured in the beginning, that they all had, these devices implanted in them, whether it was in their hand, most of them had them in their hands, a couple of them had the Neuralink. You see the one guy, he had, pretty much a bionic eye, and this is going to become the reality for, the world, primarily here in America, this digital infrastructure that is being put in place, because the US dollar will be done away with, and, the central bank digital currency will be the new way of buying and selling, So I'm just going to bring out a couple of scriptures, feature a couple clips. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point, and I'm going to entitle this, only the elect will understand, because only the elect of the nation of Israel will know and understand exactly what the mark of the beast is, because you do have, certain of our people, the wicked of our people that know what the mark of the beast is, but they don't proclaim it to their congregation. They still have them in darkness. They are deceiving them into thinking that the mark of the beast is sin in all its forms, which the mark of the beast is not sin, Now, taking the mark of the beast is a sin, but it is not sin itself, It is not an embargo. It is not sleeping with white women. It's not any of these other things that these other guys are claiming the mark of the beast is, man. It's as plain as day. It's the RFID microchip, man, which they show you, which one of the clips that I'm going to feature in this video, it shows you exactly what it is, man, and where it's going to go. Like, these are very serious times that we're in, man, and a lot of you people are going to get caught unawares, So I'm going to start with the book of Isaiah, chapter 36 and verse 6. And it says, Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, wherein if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. And right, man, right now, Donald Trump, he's the current, Pharaoh of modern day Egypt, spiritual Egypt, if you will, pursuant to Revelation 11 and 8, He's the Pharaoh, and just like our apostles have been saying, they believe that he may be the guy that is going to issue, the mark of the beast when it's time for that prophecy to be fulfilled, which again, we believe that same thing. He may be that guy, he may be that cruel Lord that is spoken of in Isaiah 19 and 4, he has to be it, because I don't see anyone else ruling after this man, because you clearly see the things that he's doing. He's causing, these nations to be angry, putting tariffs on them, Donald Trump, aka Big T or Emperor Trump, whatever you want to call him, this man is creating a lot of enemies, and he's also going to help issue in the mark of the beast. And who else, better to have as his right hand man to do this than Elon Musk, who is behind, investing in the Neuralink, Slakia. So I'm going to go to the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 10. And it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right, man, everyone is going to be tried, we're all going to be tested, and that's going to be part of the hour of temptation, man, being faced with a choice on whether or not you're going to receive the mark of the beast, and as we know or should know by now, the elect will not receive the mark of the beast, man. They're going to deny it, they're going to, not pretty much, but they are going to, keep their faith unto death, man. Because pursuant to Revelation chapter 20 and verse 4, certain of the elect are going to be martyrs, they're going to be beheaded, for the testimony of our Lord Yahushai, but that won't be their end, man. They're going to die, honorable deaths, because all of the elect will not be put to death, but, those whose lot it is to be, be beheaded, just understand that, you'll be fine. You're going to be the first to be risen up upon the second coming of our Lord Yahushai. You're going to be the first ones on the chariots, man. Whoever that may be, So, I'm going to jump to chapter 13. This is Revelation chapter 13, and I'm going to start at verse 15. And it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So, right, this man's New World Order, because as we know, America is patterned after ancient Rome, as Rome all over again, Rome revived, if you will, it's taken after that same thing. But, as we know, the plans of the elites of the nation of Edom, that is their plan to fulfill their New World Order, which their ultimate goal is to chip everyone, and that's what they want to do, but everyone is not going to get it. Now, a good majority of people upon the earth, we don't know the exact number, but a lot of people are going to get it, and they're also going to be destroyed because of it, right? But understand that device that is being rolled out slowly but surely, that's going to be the new way to buy and sell, So this is Revelation 13 and verse 16. And it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads. And that no man, Slakia before I read verse 17, but you clearly see, those individuals that had, those chips, man, they had them in their hands. Now, it doesn't matter if it's in their right hand or in their left hand. The point is that they got it. The one woman, she had, that implant so big in her hand, man, it's disgusting, But again, these people are going to willingly, receive this device, and it's going to go in their hands. The microchip, the grain of rice, is going to go in their hands, man, whether their right hands, their left hands, or wherever these people want to get it. It doesn't matter. Just like, Apostle Hart said, it doesn't matter if they get it in their butt cheek, If you receive the mark of the beast, you're doomed, So verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So right, man, you won't be able to buy or sell unless you have that device, you know, because once the US dollar is completely done away with, you know, that's the only way you're going to be able to survive in the current world to come, you know, because that's what Esau wants. He wants this digital world, this digital infrastructure set up, you know, so he can monitor everyone, you know, because again, as you read in the scriptures, man, Esau Edom has a God complex, man. He wants to be like the Most High, you know, and that's one of his goals. He wants to keep an eye on everyone. He wants to know what you're doing at all times, man, you know, and that's, you know, his goal for the New World Order, to chip everyone, but everyone will not get it, you know. So just real quick, I'm going to jump over to Revelation chapter 16 and verse 2, because a lot of you people that either already have it or are going to get it, you know, understand that this is going to be part of you receiving, you know, that device, right? So this is Revelation chapter 16 and verse 2. And it says, "And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." So right now it says men, but you know, don't be simple. You know, women and children are going to get it as well, man. You know, but everyone that receives the mark of the beast are going to get that grievous sore, ultimately cancer, because again, that device is going to be emitting radiation. It's going to pretty much be powered by, you know, that individual's body heat. You know, that's how it's going to be, you know, ran or operating, you know, off of that person, you know, and that's a part of our law. And when I say our law, I mean the Hebrews, man. You know, not just you so-called Negroes, you Latinos and Native Americans as well, man. You know, all 12 tribes, that's in our law. And we're not supposed to make any markings or cuttings in our flesh, man. And what happens when you get that device? You know, that syringe is piercing your flesh, is separating your flesh, thus cutting it, you know, and inserting that device inside of you, you know. A lot of you are that already have it, you're doomed, you know, and those of you that are slated to get it, you're doomed as well, man, you know. So I'm going to end it on this. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14, and I'll start at verse 8. And it says, "And there follow another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." And as you can see, the headline reads, "Doom for worshippers of the beast." So right, man, those of you that get that mark of the beast, man, that receive that chip, you're doomed, man. Verse 9, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb." So right, you're going to be burned up, you know. And how are you going to be burned up? By way of those ICBM missiles. They're going to be sent over here to America to destroy this land, you know, because this entire land mass from New York to California is going to be on fire, man. In all 50 states, you know, all of America is going to be burned up, you know, and it's going to be left completely desolate. In verse 11, "And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name." So right now, that doesn't mean that, you know, the people that, you know, die the second death, which is being burned up, you know, being cast into the lake of fire, you know, that they're just going to burn forever. No, that we're not teaching that hell doctrine. You know, now the people that do get, you know, receive that second death, you know, they're going to be on fire for a period of time. How long exactly, you know, we don't know. We just hope to not, you know, partake of that, you know, to not receive that judgment. But ultimately, those that do, you know, they're going to be destroyed, you know, in that fire for receiving the mark of the beast, especially those of our people. You know, you wicked Israelites that are going to trust in this man and in this system, you know, you're going to be destroyed in that fire. Now, you will be reborn in the kingdom, but you're going to have your head down, you know, because you trusted in your oppressor instead of trusting in, you know, our Lord Yahushua to deliver us in the time of trouble, you know. So I'm going to end it with Revelation chapter 20. Excuse me, Salakia. In verse 19. And it says, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, death and hell. You know, it's talking about Esau, Edom. You know, the third part of men, the wicked, you know, were cast into that fire. You know, and you will have 2/3 of the nation of Israel, and, you know, whatever heathens are over here are going to die, you know. But again, that judgment is primarily for Esau, Edom, the second death, man, being cast into that lake of fire. What is the lake of fire? Once again, is going to be the landmass of North America being burned by nuclear missiles, you know, and everyone that is over here during that time that has the mark of the beast is going to be destroyed in that lake of fire, you know. That's the penalty for getting it. You know, the elect are going to keep their faith unto the end and not receive it. But the wicked of our people, you know, are going to get it and ultimately be destroyed, you know. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time.
A doctor inserts the microchip between your thumb and index finger using a device similar to a syringe. Now, these chips can actually be really helpful tools, and they utilize the same technology used in phone payments. With this tiny device, your body essentially becomes a contactless key. It can open doors using sensors and can even start a car. They last anywhere from 10 to 20 years and can be removed with a small incision in the skin.
Bruce Kowalski. Your monthly universal basic income has been deposited into your account. For more information, press details. You have been paid 2,000 central bank digital tokens. The following fees are being deducted: accommodation fee, food ration fee, recycling fee, clean energy fee, personal greenhouse gas emissions fee, climate change fee, diversity fee. Your current remaining balance is 5 central bank digital tokens, and if not spent, it will expire in 7 days.